Good afternoon. This is the Week 1 Midweek Madness College Football Betting Preview. I'm Stuckey, and joining me, as always, Collin Wilson and the one and only Mr. Brett McMurphy. It is good to be back with some weekday college football. Got a lot to get to today. We'll give our best bets for tonight and tomorrow. We'll also do a little buy-sell for the upcoming season. Talk with Mike Calabrese for his buy or sell at the group of 5 level. And then talk with the universally loved Darren Rovell to get his Fade Rovell pick. Everyone has their fingers crossed, hoping it's not something that they are on. Before we do get started here, I do want to remind everyone you can find all of our bets on the award-winning Action Network app, in addition to an abundance of data and content for tonight's slate and beyond. And also, word from our sponsor, Big Bets on Campus is presented by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get a first bet offer up to $1,000. Terms and conditions do apply. Again, that's bonus code ACTION. All right, great. Let's get started here with our Thursday best bets on the college football slate. I'll kick things off with the under in Kent State UCF. This Kent State offense is replacing all 11 starters. Very raw offensive line, new quarterback, and underwhelming receiving core. I just don't know how they're really going to score much. I think they're also going to go significantly slower than they played last year. UCF, meanwhile, should be a lot of running, and with the new clock rules, maybe this game sped up a little bit, but I think they're just going to build a big lead, and then this game really grinds to a halt. Look, Kent State has some pieces returning on defense. It's still not going to be a great defense, but the defense is going to be way ahead of its offense, especially early on in the season for this complete rebuild. Just to illustrate where they were a couple months ago, their spring game ended 13-12. So give me the under in the great state of Florida. Collin, where are you going for your best bet on Thursday?
Boy, Flash Fast is gone. I'm going to go with Minnesota -7. And it's because Minnesota has a brand new identity, and it's the fact that they may be pretty exclusive in throwing downfield. They have a huge core of wide receivers coming back that are all explosive. Explosiveness for wide receivers defined as yards per route run. They have 4 of them. Daniel Jackson's still on roster. Chris Autman-Bell is in his 7th year. Corey Crooms comes over from Western Michigan, and Elijah Spencer from Charlotte. All of them average more than 2 yards per route run, which is great for Ethan Kaliak-Manis. 7 for 9 in the bowl game, in the Pinstripe Bowl, going up against this same defense, the 3-3-5 of Tony White that he's going to face in Nebraska. And I'm not worried about Nebraska's defense because they have almost no experience whatsoever at the 2 safety positions. That's going to allow Kaliak-Manis to throw downfield and hit some of these wide receivers. So give me Minnesota -7.
Yeah, going back to Kansas State, Flash Fast was last year with Sean Lewis, who's now the offensive coordinator at Colorado. We'll see them at noon on Saturday. And by the way, we still have our weekly show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, Big Bets on Campus Live. We'll preview Saturday's slate. We got to come up with a new name if they are slow and plodding. Maybe Slog Slow, from Flash Fast to Slog Slow. Maybe we'll go with that. But Minnesota, Nebraska, yeah, it's really hard to predict what the Nebraska offense is going to look like, but because that Minnesota defense did lose a lot, but I don't think it's going to be too promising early on. Brett, where are you headed tonight?
I am headed to the great Northeast, North Carolina State at UConn. In the last 7 years, North Carolina State on the road is a non-conference favorite under Dave Doran. Only 1-5 ATS. They've lost 4 of those games outright. They must replace quarterback Devin Leary and its offensive coordinator. Their new quarterback, Brennan Armstrong, transferred from Virginia. They should be okay there. And then you look at the other side. You look at UConn. They went bowling last time for the first time in 7 years. The mighty Huskies have 17 starters back. Those guys are seeking revenge from a 41-10 beatdown by the Wolfpack last year. By the way, the Huskies did cover that game somehow. And, oh, yeah, group of 5 teams at home against Power 5 opponents in the season's opening week have covered at a 64% clip in the past few years. One last thing, how motivated is NC State going to be facing an independent team they seal clubbed last year? Did I mention NC State has Notre Dame on deck next year? UConn, make that you can. Give me jacked up Jim Mora and the Huskies plus 15.
Seal clubs. We don't need to be clubbing any seals this early in the season. Yeah, the interesting part about this game is you have two new quarterbacks who are reunited with their old coaches. You have a quarterback in Fagnano for UConn who's reunited with his old main coach. And then, as you mentioned, Brennan Armstrong reunited with his old offensive coordinator at Virginia. So maybe those offenses are both, a little less rusty than you might expect due to that familiarity. But good luck up in the great Northeast. Let's, in preparation for this season, let's do a little buy or sell. All you have to do for this segment is just name a team that you're either buying or selling, and then just offer a few reasons as to why. I'll start. I was going to go with UMass. UMass actually has a quarterback now. Makes a big difference when you have a quarterback. But let's go with a team that's playing either tonight or tomorrow because it's midweek madness. So I'm going to go with Hawaii. Hawaii last week looked excellent. Their offense was in full rhythm. The run and shoot is back in Hawaii. And if you go back to last year when Timmy Chang started to implement a lot of these principles after the bye week, they've covered 8 of 9 games since. Braden Shaker looked excellent last week, worked with a lot of June Jones's old guys from that offense way back in the day. He looked sharp. Hawaii significantly improved. I actually even liked what I saw from the defense as well. Meanwhile, I bought them last week. I bought them this week. I think Stanford's a mess. This is a team that's on the rise, and I think they get the win this week. So I'm buying Hawaii now, and until further notice. Collin, what do you got for a little buy or sell?
Well, I'm going to sell a team that we've already seen on the field. I'm going to sell USC this season. Mason Cobb and Bear Alexander were supposed to elevate this defense, provide depth, make them havoc-minded, and I didn't see any of that against San Jose State. I saw Mason Cobb getting torched in coverage. Bear Alexander, I think, had 1 pressure on the day. San Jose State had more explosive drives than USC. They easily cleared the national average in passing down success rate. The Trojans still have a ton of issues on defense. San Jose State converted nearly half of their third downs with an average distance to go of 10.3 yards. That shouldn't be happening. This defense is not going to survive the Pac-12 slate of quarterbacks. I'm selling USC. They're not going to win the Pac-12. They're not going to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, it looked like the same old Alex Grinch defense that we've been accustomed to seeing. And if USC doesn't fix that, it's hard to see them, running the table or getting to the college football playoff and making any real noise, despite how electric that offense is and will be. Brett, buy or sell? Where you headed?
Stuck, I'm buying. And like you, I'm going to go to the Mountain West. And actually, this deep into our first show, I'm surprised Collin hasn't mentioned all his Media Day trips we made last month. So I guess I will. Yes, I was at Mountain West Media Day. Yes, Collin was also there. And I got a chance to visit with Colorado State Jay Norvell. He is pumped for this season, his second with the Rams. Last year, look, they were only 3-9. Their win total is 4.5. I think they exceed that. They return a ton, including quarterback Clay Millen, who completed 72% of his passes last year as a freshman, and electrifying wide receiver Torrey Horton, who might be the best player in the Mountain West. They also get back top running back Avery Morrow. He was cleared of any legal issues, so he's ready to go. And Norvell told me at Media Days that he expects the Rams to be much better in the trenches. That was a weak point last year. Also, they're a lot deeper at virtually every position. And what sealed it for me is when he was at Nevada, he won 3 games his first year, improved to 8 wins his second year. I expect the same type of jump from the Rams, going from 3 wins to possibly 8 wins, and maybe even be a dark horse to win that Mountain West.
Yeah, it could be one of the most improved teams in the country. I love me some Torrey Horton, who should have a massive year. I'm glad that he stayed at Colorado State. And you did just cash 2 tickets on the show. I checked the closing odds. You, to mention media days before Collin, was plus 275. So some people cashed a nice juicy winner there. And mentioning cleared of legal issues cashes at minus 180. All right, let's kick it to Mike Calabrese of the Big Bets on Campus podcast and get his thoughts on a buy or sell at the group of 5 level.
Hey, thanks, Stuck. Here in G5 lands, hope springs eternal in the offseason. Might as well go with a buy. I'm buying the Colorado State Rams because their head coach, Darren Rovell, has already pulled off this trick. In his first year at Nevada, goes 3-9, gets a 5-win bump in year 2. I see something similar on tap in Fort Collins. They go 3-9 last season, have all kinds of issues on their offensive line. They go into the portal, bring in a bunch of guys with experience from the FCS and Division II level, bring in 66 career starts, plugging that into an offensive line that finished dead last in sacks allowed last year. But despite all the pressure, freshman Clay Millen finished with 72.2% of his passes completed. That was a freshman record at the FBS level, and he has a lot of weapons around him. Torrey Horton is all Mountain West Conference. Justice Ross Simmons was the talk of spring ball and conference media days. And Dallin Hoker, that's a name to keep an eye on at tight end. I just really love their skill positions. And when you look at what they have defensively, down the stretch, they were arguably the best pass defense in the Mountain West Conference. They bring back 4 or 5 starters there. Muhammad Kamara on the edge brings back 8.5 sacks. If they can find someone else to pair him up with to be able to generate more pressure on the quarterback, this could be a top 50 defense overall. And when you look at what they should be able to do year over year in terms of improvement on offense, if they can protect Millen, I think Colorado State is set for a bowl season here. There's also an opportunity to still grab them out in the market at 20-1 to win the Mountain West Conference. I understand that Boise is the favorite there, but they have some new pieces on offense. They have a new offensive coordinator. I still think there's some legitimate questions, as well as at Air Force, a team that's replacing a veteran quarterback. So if we are going to see a team kind of come from the back of the pack in the group of 5, I could see it being Colorado State this year at 20-1. So I've gone ahead and sprinkled there, but my favorite play and the reason I'm buying them is over 4.5 on the win total. All right, back to you guys for the show.
All right, more love for Colorado State. The Rams will get things started this weekend against Washington State, and what I think will be a highly entertaining game. All right, let's transition to tomorrow and give our best bets for Friday. I will kick things off, and I'm going to go with Georgia Tech plus 7.5 at home. I feel like I'm on an island here. I've seen everyone bet Louisville, and maybe I'm the moron as usual, but I'm just not buying this Louisville hype, especially early in the season. I'm a big fan of the hire in Braum, and I think it's clearly a net positive overall, and he's going to have this program not only headed in the right direction, but he's going to have this offense humming by the end of the year. But it is a big transition. So I think there might be some early season struggles. And look, Braum generally implements a pass-happy offense, not completely sold on the receivers. And that is going right into the strength of this Georgia Tech defense in the secondary. And, Georgia Tech was scrappy toward the end of last year. I think they're a bit undervalued. The offense, look, it's going to have some issues, but they're going up against a Louisville defense that lost a number of key players, 3 to the NFL, 2 that were heavily involved in all the havoc they could create, and then a corner. So I think this Louisville team, bit overvalued coming into the year. Give me the home dog catching over a touchdown on Friday night in the Rambling Wreck. Collin.
I'm going to go out to the island, and I'm going to take a Stanford Hawaii over. Probably don't have to sell people too hard on taking a Hawaii over, but I'll start with the tempo in this game. Troy Taylor comes in at Stanford after coaching at Sacramento State. And if you look at Sacramento State's seconds per play, they would have finished top 15 in tempo last year. They are fast. They're going to run this quarterback wide receiver option. It's going to be counters. It's going to be misdirection. It's going to be a lot of motion. It's going to be a lot for Hawaii to have to deal with on 6 days, rest, flying back home. Emotional time going out with the Maui Fires. So we're going to see how many points that Stanford can get up on the board, but it is going to be extremely fast. Hawaii also top 35 last year in pace. That played out again at Vanderbilt. They are still just as fast as they were last year. And the Rainbow Warriors are explosive on the outside. Pofel Ashlock catching all 7 of his targets, averaging 18 yards per target. And then Stephen McBride, who had 10 targets and 7 catches, 9.8 yards per target, 2 TDs. This run and shoot offense is electric. It's back on. I expect a very fast-paced game and a lot of points.
Hopefully by the end, Stanford is drowning in their boats with all of their oars at quarterback. We still don't know who will start. I think there's a couple of oars up there on the depth chart. So Collin's going with the over on the island. And Brett, where are you headed for Friday?
Stuckey, what did we cast with Collin going with the Mountain West team going over? I guess San Diego State's off this week. I'm going back.
Well, they don't play till the weekend. This is midweek madness. That's why he couldn't use it. So he had to go with another Mountain West over.
Yeah, that was plus 500.
I'm Stanford over, by the way. Like, say you go for San Diego State to Stanford over. My man is a masochist. But go ahead.
It's Troy Taylor. It's great. It's going to be a lot of overs, a lot of fast-paced play.
Famous last words. I'm looking at a big in-state rivalry in Michigan. Yeah, Michigan State. No, sorry, Central Michigan at Michigan State. Michigan State lost quarterback Peyton Thorne, a 2-year starter, to the transfer portal. The best player, Jaden Reed, off to the NFL. Then star wide receiver Keon Coleman transfers to Florida State. What's left in East Lansing? Good question. Luckily for Michigan, there's Rutgers in the Big Ten East, or the Spartans might finish in the cellar. Central Michigan, of course, isn't a conference game, at least not yet anyway. Maybe in the next 10 years when the Big Ten grows to 32 members. But under Jim McElwain, the Chips have played 6 non-conference road games against Power 5 oppositions at LSU, Penn State, Wisconsin, Oklahoma State, Missouri, and Miami. 3 of those teams were ranked. Michigan State is ranked. The Chips have covered 4 of those 6 road games against the Power 5, and they will not be intimidated after taking the 1-hour bus ride to East Lansing. Give me Jim McElwain and the Chips plus 14.5.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, Central Michigan, I think their offensive line, they lost 2 offensive tackles to the NFL heading into last year. I think their offensive lines, it was a rough year, but I think it'll be significantly improved. That'll translate through the rest of the offense. And yeah, I'm selling everything about Michigan State. And Brett, this is some trivia that you might enjoy. Since 1920, the directional Michigan MAC schools only have, so Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, Western Michigan, only have 3 combined victories over Michigan and Michigan State. All 3 were Central Michigan over Michigan State in East Lansing since 1990. I think most recently in 2009 with Antonio Brown and company. So maybe Central Michigan can pull off the upset once again. But I like it. All right, let's kick it to the universally loved and admired and respected Mr. Darren Rovell for his Fade Rovell pick.
Week 1 Fade Rovell, I don't think is going to disappoint you guys. I was really impressed with Hawaii last week against Vanderbilt, and I'm going to be more impressed now it's down to 3.5 as dogs against Stanford. The David Shaw-less team having to go to Hawaii, the land where criminal things happen. Go back to 2004, Northwestern's playing Hawaii. Timmy Chang's the quarterback. His dad is running the clock. Whoops! There's a whole bunch of things, and Northwestern doesn't get to a bowl game. Listen, it is shady over there. Now Timmy Chang's the head coach. Shady things will happen. They will be close enough, and I think that Hawaii comes away with the win in the first game of the new coach from Stanford. So that's it. It's Hawaii money line.
Not parlaying with anything?
No, not parlaying. It's straight up. You get enough plus money there. So go to the land of the King Kamehameha and come away with an L for the trees.
All right. I'd like to officially go on the record here and take back my buy on Hawaii. Take back what I said about Hawaii over Stanford. This is the word. First, yesterday, I was put on a screen with my name is Mr. Darren Rovell, and now he's, taking my Hawaii pick. But maybe this just means Stanford wins by 3, and we all cover, and Darren loses. But that was not the news that I was looking to hear. Collin, does this make you any more confident in your over, or just doesn't matter?
Well, I mean, I want to avoid games that Darren is on, but hopefully he can have a reverse effect on the amount of defense that's played in this game. And I'll say there'll be none. So hopefully we'll see if he can help me out with some points.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. Still in Hawaii, Darren. Hopefully this is one of the few times that you are right. But that'll do it for us. I do want to remind everyone one final time to make sure you check out the award-winning Action Network app, where you can find all of our bets, in addition to an abundance of data and content for today's slate and beyond. And one final reminder that Big Bets on Campus is presented by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get a first bet offer up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. Again, that is bonus code ACTION on BetMGM. We will be back in just 2 short days, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, for Big Bets on Campus Live. We'll preview the entire Saturday college football slate. It is good to be back. Thank you to Collin and Brett for joining me. Thanks to our producers on the back end. Of course, thanks to all of you for tuning in. We will see you on Saturday.